Okay, I guess I can start. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shai. And I like to give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, rule well. And I also like to give honors to the Akim that's out here pushing his truth and sincerity to the four corners. So Shalom. We lining up. This is what we're going to do. We're going to line up scriptures with current events. You know, lining up current events with prophecy, you know. And so I just want to show you that the so-called white man, descendant of Esau, a.k.a. the Edomite, and all the different nations at one point, they all came together to bring us Israelites to the condition that we are in now, which is in captivity, at the bottom of the barrel. They have destroyed our people mentally and spiritually. But how did they do it? Okay, the scripture, you can find out anything you know through the scripture, anything you need to know. And this is what the scripture says. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 48. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. And who's the enemies that he sent against us? Because the enemies that he sent against us, when we are transgression, is Esau, right here in his kingdom. That's why we're here. And it says, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee. When they took us from Africa, what did they do? They chained us up, and they put a yoke of iron on our necks, and on our wrists, and on our feet. And they brought us here, and then they put us on the auction, and sold us as slaves, which is bondmen and bond women, which means we had to be paid for ownership. Now let's see how history lines up with the biblical prophecy though. Alright, now this is Deuteronomy 28:68. And it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So we already been in Egypt, right? And you know, we've never been again. So let's see what Egypt really means according to scripture. This is Exodus 20 and 2. And it says, I am Yahweh thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So that word Egypt means the house of bondage, or slavery, or captivity. And it say that we will see it no more again, which it was referring to our land, Jerusalem. But if that is so, and if that's so documented, why is the so-called white people in our land pretending to be us? The Bible prophesied that they would do this. But look what it said about them, though. You know, these people, they're imposters. Look what it said about them, though. And it says, this is Revelations 2 and 9. It says, I know thy works, and thy tribulation, and poverty. But thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So he knows that we poor and suffering and going through the tribulations. But he said we still rich though. Why did he say that? He said that because we are promised to inherit the kingdom of heaven, right? Okay. So while we think we have nothing, little do they know, we will have everything. We will be rich in the Most High. You know, a lot of people define riches as being money. But it could be that could be further from the truth. It's more than money. And so you know, he said that these people that's impersonating us are the synagogue of Satan, which is the devil, this so-called white man. How do we know this? Okay, let's let the Bible speak. This is Isaiah 14 and 12. And it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. They that see thee narrowly, they that see shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. So it said that Lucifer, the devil, or Satan, is a man, and that this so-called man did shake the nations and made the planet to tremble. How? With nuclear bombs and atomic bombs. The only people who has ever dropped nukes on anybody was America and the so-called white man. He dropped it on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. That's history for your ass right there. And so, okay, now that we have established who Esau is, this so-called white man, aka Edom, let's continue. This is Psalms 83 and 2. And it says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel shall be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, and of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur is also joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot. Salah. So the white man has conspired with all these nations to put us in captivity by joining forces against us. They wanted to make us and our name Israel be remembered no more. Their plan was to make us forget through captivity. And they took our name and posed as us. But we didn't know because we forgot who we were. The first race of people it named was the so-called white man. The tabernacles of Edom, which today is America, Russia, Europe, Britain, Australia, and many more. Then it said the Ishmaelites, which are the Arabs. Then it said Moab and the Hagarenes, which are the Asian people. And then it said Tyre and Ashur, which are the Hamites. And it also say they have holding the children of Lot. The children of Lot is also the Asians. It's how the Asian race started. Lot's daughters got them drunk and raped them. You know, so they're a race of incest, basically, which is why they look like that, which is why their eyes are slanted and look like they had Down syndrome or something. So this is every nation of people. Now watch this. Now this is the word against the so-called white man, and you're going to know about the details. This is Obadiah 1 and 3. And it says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, who saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, said Yahweh. So who is the natural caveman? Whose habitation is high? Who like living in the mountains and shit? Climbing mountains? Who national crest, stemming all the way from Babylon, all the way to America, has always been the eagle? Who to this day is setting their nest in the stars by building space stations because they know their judgment? This so-called white man. Now this is Obadiah 1 and 6. And it says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is no understanding in him. So Esau's a born liar and deceiver. But how are the lies brought out? The lies are brought out through the Most High, who reveal all things to his prophets. And then it said, everybody that he made a deal with to make us forget that we were the children of Israel, and all the nations of people or races of people that I mentioned just a minute ago, they all turned against him. The same people that made the deal with him, they have all turned against him. And you can just look at it in everyday news. They've all turned against Esau. Okay? Now, Scriptures say a nation divided cannot stand. So Russia, China, Moab, and even the Africans, who are the Hamites, they kicking the so-called white man out of Africa. The Hamites. If you look at the news right now, those Africans, those Hamites, they kicking the white man out. They coming back to America as refugees. And like I said, all of these people who was with them, they turning on them. Look at Russia. Look at China. All these people we had trading agreements with, who we was cool with. All of these countries are turning against America. And right now, Russia and America is at war through Syria. Right now. And then, and so Esau's going to be destroyed. So it's going to be all these people against America, plus the Messiah and the angels, and the brothers that's going to have spiritual powers in that day when Yahushua cracked the skies. But this is what the Most High said about them. This is Obadiah 1 and 8. It says, shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and the understanding out of the mount of Esau, and thy mighty men, O Taman, shall be dismayed, to the end that everyone of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. So, after 1,000 years of captivity, that Revelation prophesies that Esau will serve us. He will be destroyed off of the face of the earth. But why is the Most High going to destroy them? Let's go to Obadiah 1 and 10. And it says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So for that perpetual hatred that the so-called whites have for the so-called blacks. That's why. And it's been passed down through the bloodline spiritually. That's no difference from then to now. So look at what's going on in the news. Everybody cutting ties with the daughter of Babylon, a.k.a. America. China, Russia, Africa, Britain. Just keep looking at the news. The U.S. just sent warships over to China. Now, they just launched on Syria. And what did the Russian President Putin say? If the United States... Oh. That's that high wind for you. It says if the United States launch any missiles against Syria for the chemical bombs that they did, that they not only going to shoot those missiles out of there, they're going to destroy the people who shot them. So that lets you know, man, it's going to be tight. Just think about it. Every time war comes, what happens? They got to pay for this war. So they go up on everything. So just look for the price of eggs and meat and everything to go up, and gas extremely. You know, just pay attention to how this world works. But with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well. And I'd like to give honor to the Akim that's out here pushing this truth and sincerity to the four corners. I just want to say shalom and shalom.